Hello and welcome to episode 484 of Fergo on the Freak. I'm the bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. And join me as always is the glorious LeagueFreak. You can also find on Twitter at LeagueFreak. How you going there, mate?
Going very well, Andrew. How are you?
As well as someone whose team constantly gets fucking flogged could go.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. All I know is victory after victory.
I'm going to say, a few weeks ago, there was an article about the AFL team, the West Coast Eagles.
Okay.
And it was about how their fans would be feeling depression after following the team that's been very poor for so long. And I went, obviously I don't follow it, so I thought I'll have a look. And West Coast were in the grand final about 3 or 4 years ago. And I thought, well, toughen up, you fucking sad cunts.
Sometimes you see that out of Roosters fans, hey, where they're like, we just always expect to be good. And it's like, yeah, that's how you know that a Roosters fan hasn't been around for very long.
You can date them by the sponsor. Speaking of sponsors, the Panthers have lost their sponsor, Oak, for next year.
Yeah, they've already got one lined up for next year, though.
But I'm sure they've got about 35 of them lined up.
Yeah. But it's interesting. My guess is
that's one of the longest sponsors that's been around since probably City Ford with the Roosters and Smith's Chips with the Bunnies.
Probably, yeah.
And maybe St George Bank as well.
My guess is that St George Bank dipped out from the Dragons too recently, I believe.
Yeah, well, no. Dragons probably couldn't keep up with the mortgage repayments.
The thing with Oak, my guess is that it was just Oak couldn't afford whatever the asking price was, which is understandable, completely understandable, because Oak sort of come in when Penrith weren't going all that well, and now you've got this absolute juggernaut of a team, and of course, sponsors are going to be knocking on their door, and that's what I'm guessing happened. So it'll be interesting to see who their sponsor is next year. I think that they've been very smart in holding back that announcement until the season's over, because Oak deserves to get all the glory. They're the ones that have sponsored the club for a long time now.
Absolutely. Who would be the most Penrith sponsor you could get?
High Street Pies.
High Street Pies?
Yeah, or maybe Kebab King. That's on High Street as well. What other ones would there be? Probably, I can't remember. Sorry,
Krispy Kremes?
Krispy Kremes, that'd be another one. There's a tattoo place. I don't know if it's still there. I think it's Warpaint. It's either Warpaint or Wicked Ink. And the reason that I get them mixed up is because there was one that was in Penrith, and there was one that I got my tattoo at, which was in St Mary's, right next to the train station. But I don't believe it's there anymore. But I used to get those ones mixed up, the name of them. So there's plenty of sponsors.
Oh, yeah, they'll be lining up.
LeagueFreak.com, how about that?
Yeah, how much are you willing to fork out?
Oh, well, I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to let Oak get their moment in the sun.
That's fair. Well, we'll come back to this one when the Oak sponsorship's done.
Yeah. What's the day after the grand final?
What's a grand final? I mean, I understand the words you're saying, but just not the order you put them in.
It happens in October. Hey, they play football after August finishes. Just letting you know.
Bullshit. Are you serious? That's when the cricket season starts.
I swear.
I mean, my cricket season started just last week.
Don't even start me on the cricket. But by the way, I talked about this with somebody on Twitter not long ago about podcasts that start. You just want them to get stuck into their subject, and they just ramble about other shit. We're doing that right now. We are. But and usually we get straight into it. Yeah.
And we save this shit for the end.
Can I just say, I'm not watching the Ashes. I don't care.
I've not seen any of it either. The only time I've tuned in is when I've seen the Poms whinge about something. I go, what are they sooking about? And I look at it and going, yeah, they're fucking sooks. And I just can move on.
But the way they're all fucking whinge, like they're carrying on all of them like a bunch of jerks. That's why I can't watch cricket anymore, because it seems like your first qualification to be a cricket player is to be just a jerk that no one likes, completely irredeemable. You know, I'm serious. They're all just a bunch of just assholes.
Would it be fair to say that in England, most cricketers are just failed tennis players?
Yeah, who aren't much better.
That's right.
It's insane how unlikable all of them are. And I'm not just talking about England. I'm talking about all of them. Australia, all of them. Like, I don't like any of them, so I can't watch it. I just don't, and I don't care. It's like, this team's cheat. They're all fucking cheating assholes. I don't care.
Most of them, yeah, but I'd say nearly all of them have done some form of cheating in their time.
I mean, we had an Australian captain, okay, who was wrapped up. They were taking fucking sandpaper out in the field and just fucking sandpapering the ball. And when he get caught, he cried about it.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Oh, man. Well, let's go from the tears of Steve Smith to the tears of New South Wales fans with the New South Wales team that was announced yesterday.
This is why I tag our podcast as a comedy podcast, because of things like this that Brad Fittler has brought to us. He is a fucking genius. Like, the satire in this lineup that he has selected is just chef's kiss. Is it?
I think I said on Twitter that he was the guessingest coach to ever guessed.
He really is, isn't he?
I see nothing that makes sense on here. And to make matters funnier is Brett Reid, Hack Journo, sort of had a legitimate sort of question to Greg Alexander about how the fuck Bradman Best got picked.
By the way, Brent Reid, Buzz Rothfield light.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he is.
Not just one light.
Yeah. He's light, low carb, low sugar.
Yeah. Something fancy like pure blonde.
Ultra Zero.
Yeah. It's like you can have all of the fanciest names you want. I'm not drinking your fucking bottled water, asshole.
Yeah, it's basically just cordial.
Yeah. I want a beer, but I want it to be low carb. You want a tampon to go with it?
Ooh, that'll stir someone up. But yeah, he said, how the hell did Bradman Best get picked? And Brandy got all arced up and says, how dare you? That's been rude to Bradman Best. And I got to say, Brandy, how the fuck did Bradman Best get picked?
That's pretty rude, Andrew. I gotta say.
I don't much care.
Yeah. I mean, Bradman Best is fucking shit. But
someone's gone out there saying, they were picked on good form. I went, flogging teams at the bottom of the ladder should not be the basis on which teams are picked, but that seems to be what's happened this week.
It does. Okay, so let's go through the lineup. For Queensland, AJ Brimson's in for the foul-mouthed little twerp up there in Brisbane.
Yeah, Reece Walsh.
Yeah, that's all that they really did to their side. They're fine.
And Thomas Flegler's out with an injury.
Yeah.
So Jermaine Hopgood and Corey Horsburgh have come in.
Oh, yeah, they brought in the cry. Okay. Okay.
Big Red's on the bench.
So here's the betting line. The betting line is 185 even. So either one you pick, you get 185. You get 185 back for a $1 investment. Okay. Mm-hmm. What is more likely to happen with Corey Horsburgh? Corey Horsburgh goes out and plays well for Queensland. Corey Horsburgh, is this the other option? Corey Horsburgh goes out. He has some sort of emotional fucking breakdown and gets sent to the sin bin.
On his current form this year, I want to have a bet each way.
Really?
Yeah, because I know you're not a fan of him, but this has been his best season. And whether he's origin quality or not, I don't know. I think bench is about that'll be fine. But and he's being helped by New South Wales picking a guess who game.
Yes.
Of fucking players. They were smart enough though to drop Hudson Young. Yeah. But that's the only smart thing they really did.
If you're one of the better forwards for Canberra, who gives a shit? You're not doing anything. You're crap. Hudson Young is better than this dude, and Hudson Young fucking sucks, mate.
No, I do not rate Hudson Young that high at all.
No. If Osborough is fucking terrible. He's not even a first grader. He should be playing for fucking the fucking Golgong Bulls or whatever the fuck they call themselves down there in that shithole of a place.
Yeah, I don't think he's that bad.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Especially based on this year's form. He's been pretty handy this year. He's been playing a little bit wide of the ruck, which has probably helped.
Mm-hmm. So you think that you tend to think that he's all right as a player, and I think that he's a bottomless black hole of nothingness.
I mean, that's basically most rangers.
Okay. Well,
and I'm not being a rangerist there. I kind of classify as one. So
I said the most offensive shit in this podcast so far.
No. I'm just setting the bar.
I tell you what, if they had souls, they'd be really hurting right now.
They will be fuming though. Fucking angry. So we'll go through the changes. So yeah, Queensland, as you said, Walsh is out, Flagler's out, Horsburgh, Hopgood, and Tom Dearden are in. For New South Wales, Hudson Young, Jerome Luai, Junior Paulo, Matt Burton, Payne Haas, Stefano Utikamanu, Tom Trbojevic, and Tyson Frizzell are all out.
Mm-hmm. And
Bradman Best, Clint Gutherson, Cody Walker, Jacob Saifiti, Jake Trbojevic, Keon Collingwood, Matangi, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Scott Drinkwater, and Spencer Leniu are in.
Yeah.
Right. So, at least, and this is the best I can say.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time in this Origin series that New South Wales has selected two actual centres to play at centre.
That was my only positive as well.
That's all I've got.
That was my only positive. You stole it.
He is slower laterally than his opponent, which will be Valentine Holmes.
He's high injury prone.
They are going to run at him all fucking game. Cody Walker and Mitch Moses in the halves.
Doesn't really matter, does it? Like,
it doesn't matter, but at the same time, that's not helping Cody Walker any at all.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything out of it.
Wines, like, just out of it. He's gone.
Yeah, I assume he died.
Yeah. They shot him into the sun.
Yeah. Well, they put him on that. Anyway.
I don't know where that was going, but man, it must have been good.
Something to do with the Titanic. In the forwards, Jake Trbojevic is back.
Yeah.
And Regan Campbell-Gillard are back. And I don't know why. I didn't think the New South Wales props were the problem.
Well, Payne Haas, I think that he is injured.
Fine.
Okay, Junior Paulo just dropped?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that they brought in a Parramatta forward because their forwards are really good at the moment.
Dominating.
Yeah. So we've reshuffled, and Damien Cook looks like he might start the game.
Which is, that's actually the right thing to do.
Yep.
Liam Martin's been moved into the back row where he should have been for game one.
Yeah, instead of Tyson Frizzell. Why would you have Liam Martin, who is super damaging, premiership winner, World Cup winner? Why would you have him in a New South Wales team instead of Tyson Frizzell?
Yeah, I think you've pretty much summed it up.
Yeah.
And Koloa Matangi, another bloke who should have been in the squad from game one.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking powerful line runner. And got some good handling skills as well, close to the line. Cameron Murray at lock. which means Yo's been dropped to the bench. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, that's genius, hey?
Again, Yo has not been one of their poor performers. Why would you put him on the bench? Jacob Saifidi's pick because Knights, yay.
Yeah, I always think that the quality players come from Newcastle. Just ask people that are from Newcastle. And then on top of that, I just don't think we've seen enough Saifidis in State of Origin to work out if they're good or not.
Are there any more of them?
I hope not.
Does he have, is his dad and his grandfather alive? They might be able to get on the extended bench.
You think about it. In New South Wales from Newcastle, they've picked Frizzell in this series. Frizzell, Bradman Best, and now Saifidi. 3 players from Newcastle. Newcastle sucks.
Yeah. But they flogged some team that's lower than on the ladder. So, they're great now.
I know.
Reece Robson's on the bench with Clint Gutherson. And all I can tell you about that bench, very fucking light.
Very.
One prop, one hooker, one fullback 5/8, and Jacob Saifidi. What are they doing? Do they not realise it's Origin? You look across at the Queensland bench and they've got, as much as you don't like him, Corey Horsburgh's on there. He's the second rower. Then you've got Fodder Waker and Lindsay Collins, 2 props. They're going to smash us through the middle.
The thing I don't understand, it's like if somebody said, I'm playing a rep game tomorrow and I need a bench and I'm not going to tell you who I'm playing, I'm not going to tell you what my team is, pick my bench, I'd say prop, back rower, and a guy that's a utility that can mostly play hooker.
Yeah.
It's a really fucking simple thing.
It's not complicated at all.
No.
And the stupid thing here is we've now got basically 2 fullbacks. And look, if this is the squad you're going with, fine, okay. But you pick one, Tedesco or Gutherson, right? One goes in your 17, one sits on the extended bench. They're not even in the 17, right? Because you're wasting a bench spot there. Where's Gutherson going to go when he comes onto the field? And who's coming off? A forward's going to come off. Who's moving into the forwards?
Yeah, I don't understand it whatsoever.
Is Bradman Best going to move into the second row? If that's the case, why pick him?
But you could even look at this bench and say, okay, if they've got, say, Bradman Best gets injured in the first minute, right? But and I don't know why a New South Wales team would pick an injury-prone centre in a game, but anyway.
Well, they did it for the first 2, but
I know. Say that happens at a stretch, Isaiah Yeo can go out there and do something. He's got mobility. It's not ideal, but at least he could do something, style.
Both him and Murray can play in the centres.
Yes, right?
It's covered.
But they've picked a fullback. So he can cover the centres if they need.
And a hooker.
Yeah. I did a tweet and I thought it summed up the New South Wales series very well. Because you and me have said, the thing about it just feels like Brad Fittler didn't have a plan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just in this series, this year alone, State of Origin, we've had 3 different centre combinations, 3 different halves combinations, 3 different starting hookers, 2 different front row pairings, 3 different back row combinations, and 3 different bench rotations.
What could go wrong?
It's fine. Everything's fine.
It makes no sense.
No.
And to have Spencer Laniu on the extended bench, but you've got such a light bench. Put him on there.
Yes. I don't understand why they were selecting Spencer Laniu in these teams anyway. But once you get to game 3
because he got cranky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spencer Laniu he'd probably be 6th or 7th in the Penrith forward pack of their best forwards. And Penrith is very good, but come on now.
Yeah. So I think some players have been picked there for weird reasons. Josh Adokar gets all 3 games because everyone whinged about him not being there last year when he deserved to be there, and he barely deserves to be there for this game.
But I honestly can't say, like, I've got no problem with the wingers, right?
No, neither do I, but I'm just saying, like, they could have dropped him and replaced him with somebody else, and there wouldn't have been any real hoo-ha about it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been great this series. He hasn't been horrible. He's okay being there. I've got no issue with him being there, but I've also got no issue if he had been dropped. And, they brought in Alex Johnson or something like that, or I don't know if he can even play for New South Wales. But,
Alex Johnson can, yeah.
Oh, there you go. But, they could have done that. It wouldn't have mattered either way. I'm not going to get upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
But...
And Tedesco was always going to have this game.
Yeah, and as I've said, I don't... A lot of people are hating on Tedesco there, and I think he's a victim of the stupid, limited gameplay that they've got at the moment. And so he's doing all that he knows how to try and help, but all he's got to work with that's, a big asset to his game even now is his strong running game. But because he's lost just a little bit of pace, he's finding it harder to get round his outside man, which means he's getting shut down easier and earlier. So he's not able to set up his support runners outside him. And that's what's been shutting down plays. And if you're a good coach, you can spot that and you wouldn't put him there to start with.
No. I also think when you've got Dylan Edwards playing as well as he is, it's like people are obviously going to say, well, why don't we try this guy, especially in a dead rubber? But at the same time, and I think this will be Tedesco's last Origin game, he was always going to be in this team, always.
Of course. But... No, I'm fine. You can make a game plan to work around him. And it's not like he's a problem, okay? But you can make game plans where you use your centres a lot more than your fullback for that option running. But they seem to be going to Tedesco so often that the Queensland defence they just wait on him.
Yeah.
You watch them, they slide across until they've got 3-on-3 out there, then one just runs up on him and shuts him down. They don't have to work too hard, and they're not being exploited by him either.
I also think with Tedesco, there was a time for a very, very long time where when you played against any team that Tedesco was in, it was pretty terrifying. And it hasn't been like that for a little while now, even in the NRL. Like when you play against the Roosters, it just isn't an issue knowing that Tedesco's out there. It's like, oh, yeah, we'll handle him.
Well, his problem is he's got no recent, time with the rest of the spine. But for the most of these games, the last time he played with these spine members were in Origin over a year ago. But he hasn't played with Moses other than one game last year since they were at the Tigers together. He's only played a handful of games with Cody Walker at Origin. And the same goes with Damien Cook. And they're all very different. And those 4 pieces don't tend to work too well together.
Yeah.
Walker would work well with Tedesco if Tedesco is on his left-hand side, but Tedesco tends to want to be on the inside on the left of where Walker would be, prefers to be more in towards the middle. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit different. Moses is always on the right-hand side. Tedesco likes to be on the left more often than not. And so they don't really work too well there. Cook is running very direct, and he just has next to no links whatsoever with Tedesco there, unless Tedesco comes all the way in the middle. And he's not going to do that because Queensland's got a ton of fucking forwards there.
Yeah.
And he's not going to get anything out of running straight in the middle anyway. So he's better when he's trying to run around or drifting. So there's no cohesion in that area. Walker and Tedesco will probably work the best together, but how are they going to get the fucking ball?
Yeah, and like normally in a rugby league match, probably under 8s upwards, your halves and your hooker are all working together to break down the opposition team around the ruck, around the middle of the field generally, and that's where your fullback chimes in and stays up close and is looking for those, to back up anybody that makes a half break or gets an arm free or anything like that. Well, New South Wales doesn't play like that. So it just cuts down anything you're doing in the middle of the field. So that's interesting. Walker being selected, and look, Walker and Moses, third combination. It doesn't matter, though, with the way they play. And it's interesting because I've been thinking about Cody Walker this week. And remember when he had that game for New South Wales and he just didn't do anything, and people really got on his case.
Mm.
And I think that now, having time to have seen how this all works out under a Fittler plan, it's made me reevaluate that performance by Cody Walker, because the last thing that Cody Walker needs is for someone to say, you stay in this box.
Yes.
Don't change from the game plan. Just, and he must have gone into that camp thinking, why did they select me if they don't want me to be Cody Walker, And he's not alone, because pretty much every half in 5'8" that New South Wales have selected under Brad Fittler, that's been what they've been told. Is like, you do this thing exactly how I tell you. And it's like, well, they selected me to be me, but they don't want me. So, yeah, him and Moses, you could break it down in a huge way if you wanted to, but they're going to be asked to do the exact same thing in the exact same old model, and it's not going to work, and that's it.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I think, though, the halves being zoned right and left, I think that's an Andrew Johns thing.
I do too, yeah. Well, it's what you used to do. It's what they used to do in the early 2000s.
Yes. You had a right half and a left half.
Yeah.
And that was soon found out to not be that helpful.
Well, just all people
need someone to be running the show. You can't have two people running the show at the same time.
Yeah. Just look at Queensland's halves in the game. Exact same game, across the field. Watch what they do. Watch where they are in relation to each other. Watch how they work with the hooker. That's all you got to do. And you'll see that it's a giant difference.
It is, because Munster will happily be the second fiddle to DCE. And he knows that that's his role.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what works. I tell you what, I've got a crazy idea here that would probably help Cody Walker more than anybody else on this side, which would also help Tedesco.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you move Liam Martin to lock, and you put Cameron Murray and Isaac Yeo in the second row, because they're both good ball players. You have them just running wider of the ruck. Good defenders out there as well, obviously. Picks up a bit of defence out there. But they can then start linking up with the centres and the halves out there, which would help get the ball out a bit more. While you still got Liam Martin being an absolute beast running through the middle.
I think if I was in the ear of these players, I'd say, whatever Brad Fittler tells you to do, just ignore it.
Yeah, when Brad Fittler starts talking, just think of your happy place.
Yeah.
Don't listen to anything he says. Just every now and then, just take your shoes off and walk on the grass, and you'll think you've been listening. That's pretty much going to get you through. When Andrew John starts talking, just go, yes, Joey, you're the greatest Joey. That's all he needs to hear. That's all you got to say. Right? Other than that, do your own thing.
There's some funny shit that you hear that comes out of coaching camps and things like that, and the walking on the grass stuff. And I think there was one a couple of years ago, and it was something like they said that they were going to confiscate the players' phones or something silly like that. And I just imagine if someone said okay, we're taking your phones, you got to walk on the grass. I'd just be like, you go and do that, and I'll be over here when you're done.
I'd be more like, is there any chance that when you've got all this horseshit done, we can actually do some training?
Yeah, exactly. I know the horse riding got a lot of criticism when Wayne Pearce did it as New South Wales coach, but he was just trying to have a team bonding experience that was something, and it didn't work out great, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's because they've got next to no time to get together and sort of form some sort of bond and relationship with the people they're going to be playing alongside. So I understood where he was coming from. Yeah,
and look, when that fucking horse started bucking, it's just horrifying. It's like this happened. The worst thing that could have happened did happen, right?
Yeah.
But he copped a lot of criticism for it. But I just think that if you need to bring grown men into a footy camp and treat them like babies, and feel like you're going to, change their life and revolutionize things, you've lost. You're already lost.
It's pretty nuts. At some point, you've got to say, you know what? They're adults.
Yeah.
Let's treat them like them, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
It's, I can't see this ending well. But I think, how's this for a theory? Queensland lets New South Wales win, just so that it means that New South Wales keeps Brad Fittler on for another year so they can win next year's series as well.
Tanking.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Tanking, yeah, I think that would be smart of them. Brad Fittler still believes Brad Fittler is the best man for the job, by the way. That was some breaking news yesterday, I believe.
Oh, well, if anyone would know, he's the man.
He consulted Tim Sheens, and Tim Sheens said, look, Brad, outside of me, you probably are the best guy to run New South Wales.
Funnily enough, he got the same response from Phil Gould.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Tim Sheens stands down, partially, not from the money and not from the fucking job title, but he stands down as coach of the Tigers and puts it all on Benji Marshall's shoulders. And then Tim Sheens puts his hand up to coach New South Wales next year.
He says, "Oh, I've got experience winning Origin series in the past." And going, "Yeah, before all of these players were born."
Well, that's the same thing with fucking Phil Gould, hey? Like I see people saying Phil Gould is master coach. It's like, not in this millennium.
Nope. It's bad. But there was a news article where who was it? Alex McKinnon gave his view on who he reckons would be the best replacement coach.
Let me guess. Is it John's brother?
Nope.
Ooh, who is it?
It's not an Australian.
What?
Sam Burgess.
No, he didn't.
He did.
No.
Yep.
What?
Sam Burgess.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe he likes drink drivers.
I
don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that shocked me. That's made me snort my cocaine across the table. That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
No, zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I wouldn't have Sam Burgess anywhere near any head coach role anywhere.
No, or a car.
I mean, we could go on for a while with that list, but
it
might start getting a bit too incriminating.
I was lining shit up, hey?
Yeah, I know.
That's what he said. Yeah, that's yeah. Why not just have fucking, I don't know, just have Blocker Roach as the coach? Why not? Fuck it. There's a fucking Blocker. Put Blocker in. Do you reckon Blocker would do worse than fucking Brad Fittler?
Blocker would just pick a bunch of cranky, angry people to have a fight for 20 minutes. That'd be his game plan. Oh, when you get the ball, drop it so you can have a scrum and just fucking punch.
Imagine if we picked Blocker and he just picks just a bunch of dudes that are real, like, straightforward, no bullshit football players that remind him. And he just fucking, for whatever reason, that's like Mal Meninga 2.0. He just, for some reason, that's the formula.
You think it's a bunch of blokes that want to punch on, like David Clement becomes captain.
Yeah. He's fucking picking guys out of New South Wales Cup because they're a bit fat, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
I like my fullbacks to have a bit of meat on the bone.
That's right. We're not going to get bullied around.
Yeah.
Actually, just every game they just got blokes punching on, and the rest are too scared to send anyone off because it's Origin. So they just keep punching.
He literally doesn't pick wingers because they don't do anything according to him.
No, sorry. Everyone's just a second rower except for the props. All the forward pack's props, and everyone else is a second rower.
And they just win 3-0, 3-0, 3-0.
Liam Martin's the fullback.
Yeah. It's like, it's a bit small for what I wanted, but.
So I'm here for the Blocker team. Now I want to see how this goes.
I would rather Blocker's team than fucking whatever this is by Brad Fittler, let me tell you.
Because at least you know what Blocker's going for.
Yeah.
Fucking
violence. Bradman best. Dead set. Bradman Best. I tweeted a couple of weeks ago. Bradman Best is reliably unreliable. You know, he's one of those players that dumb people thinks is a good footy player. Hey,
it's nuts. It's nuts. I don't get why he's there. But well, I mean Newcastle obviously.
Yeah. Why the fuck do we keep picking Knights players?
Because we've got former Knights players on the bloody coaching squad.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. They're crap. They're crap for a reason.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw Newcastle Knights play and you went, wow, that was a really impressive performance?
I know, right? Like the only time that you ever watch a Newcastle team play and you're like, ooh, they played well, it's normally Kalen Ponga. You know, Kalen Ponga's having a game, you know, and that's it.
In those first 3 years or 2 years that he was at the club.
Yeah. Like in the last 10 years, who's been the best Knights player? It's been Kalen Ponga.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Can you name anyone else that's even close to him? Last 10 years. 10 years.
Mitchell Pearce.
Probably.
That's the way it is.
It's terrible.
Yep. But yeah, it's crazy. Now, Sean from the Rugby League Project, he's put out a team.
I've heard of him before.
You've heard of him?
Yeah, we've still got him on the payroll.
Yeah, he's still around.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
He's still picking up the checks.
Yeah.
He put together a side of New South Wales Origin players who only played one Origin game.
Okay.
And this is obviously his lineup. So he's got here David Peachey, Hazamel Masri, Michael Butner, Brett Rodwell, Ricky Walford, Scott Carter, Nico Hines, Mark Sargent, Dean Young, Ryan O'Hara, Matt Pryor, Scott Gourlay, Terry Madison. And you've got Luke Keary also on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
With, who else would there be? Stefano Utikamanu. There's a few others as well, but that's what he had, was that 13. I added the last two.
Yeah.
Not too bad a side, to be honest.
Yeah, I was just thinking Mark Sargent, people wouldn't understand how good a player he was. And for all that talk about other players that were instrumental in the making Newcastle a very good team in the 90s, I don't think anyone was more instrumental than him. And by the time they become premiers, he'd retired. But he was just such a good leader and a fantastic forward. Like, it's kind of shocking that I think it shows that he just, in any other era, I think he would have played multiple Origins. But he was around at a time where he had so many incredible players that were forwards at that time. It was hard for any of them to get a game. I mean, that's why Mark Geyer has so few Origins, you know.
Yeah, so many great forwards around there.
Yeah.
Sargent was a brilliant prop.
Yeah.
Scott Gourlay, big, tall, rangy second rower.
He was
played
good
for Australia in '91, I think, too. And Terry Madison, I mean, God, he just kept going.
Yeah, he was super reliable.
Yep. Ricky Walford played, got a high level throughout the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was like one of those guys that was always one of the top 5 wingers.
Yeah, absolutely. Always. Yeah. Scott Carter, fucking loved his work.
Yeah.
And he would work really well alongside Nico Hines.
Yeah, definitely.
And Hines and Peachey would work really well together.
Hines and Peachey, yeah, they would. Peachey was another one, just unfortunate timing.
Yeah, I mean, he came up against basically the end of the Tim Brasher era and the start of the Anthony Minicello one.
Yeah, I feel like there was someone else in there. Who was it? There was even Brett Mullins was there.
Yeah, Brett Mullins as well around the same time, yeah.
Yeah, just unlucky. You know, sometimes you're just unlucky.
Yeah. So, pretty damn decent side, that.
Yeah.
And even today, it'd be better than the current one that New South Wales picked.
They'd flog them.
Michael Butner up against Bradman Best.
Michael Butner was a really good player.
Yeah, good ball skills, and a good boot on him too. Basically, not too much difference between him and Burton, to be honest, as far as the way they played.
Yeah, I would say I feel like Butner it was a little bit more with his running game. I feel like it was a little bit more speed, and just a little bit more speed. Whereas I feel as though with Burton, there's a size element to his running game, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was a really good partner with Jason Taylor. Like they had a really good combination of things as a halves partnership. Unfortunately, Jason Taylor was Jason Taylor when you get to the finals, you know.
Yeah. Now, was it Scott Carter or was it Brad Izzard who completely fucking folded Benny Elias in a tackle once?
Do you mean Steve Carter?
Steve Carter? Yeah, what did I say?
Scott
Carter.
Yeah. I knew you meant Steve, though.
Yeah, Steve Carter. Yeah, Scott Carter actually did play around the same time. He played for Newcastle, though.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, he was from the New South Wales country area up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's a fuck up on my behalf. I've remembered the wrong Carter, the lesser of the two. Yeah, Steve Carter. Was it Steve Carter or Brad Izzard that folded Benny?
I feel like because you've shown me this video like 5 times.
It's one of the greatest tackles I've ever seen. Not just because it's Benny on the receiver end. He fucking buried him.
I'm pretty sure it was Brad Izzard that did that.
That's one of the best one-on-one tackles you'll ever see. Completely legal too. Well,
yeah, he just crushed him.
I mean, it was legal then. You get penalised now.
I had somebody on my timeline, they were watching a grand final from the 80s. Oh, it was a game, I think, from the 80s, and I was saying how shocking it was to see the tackling that was allowed. And I was saying how you and me, instead of recording podcasts, there'd be nights where we'd be watching like some of the grand finals from like the 70s and the 60s and stuff, and like the shit you see in that, which is like just players just deciding to assault someone in a random tackle.
Yeah, that just happens.
Yeah, just like for whatever reason, this tackle, I'm just going to hit this guy in the head and punch him, and that's it.
But apparently that was the good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when crowds would riot and come onto the field with fence palings and shit like that and want to stab people.
Back when beer had all its fucking carbs, Andrew.
Back in the good old days.
Ah, the good old days.
Nothing like murder.
Yeah.
I should bring murder back to rugby league.
Fucking now we're just at homicide, you know? I like the 70s when you could try and like take someone's head off completely and no one even batted an eyelid. And now these days, John Hopewadi fucking digitally assaults someone and everyone gets up in arms about it.
It's just a bit of fingering. It gets bent out of shape over it.
Yeah, just calm down. If you haven't been fingered on a football field, have you ever played?
That's right. Are you even rugby leaguing?
Exactly.
Now, speaking of hard rugby league, on Rugby League Project recently, we added in all the results of the Maher Cup. And the Maher Cup was a competition that was run in basically the Riverina, southern part of New South Wales from the 1920 to 1972 or 73, somewhere like that, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Let me get that right. 71. And the way it worked was, so for the first game, Tumut played Gundagai. The winner of that game was given the Maher Cup. And every game you played, you defended it. So you could lose it straight away the next week.
Yep. So
it changed hands a lot. But besides some of the results, because most of the results were pretty close, there were a few crazy instances that with some of these games. And before I go into some of them, because there's some crackers here.
Yeah.
This Maher Cup got it was so well renowned, especially in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, as being possibly the toughest competition to play in. The players test players from England would come to Australia for 1 year to play in the country just to compete in this.
Wow.
There was Australian test players that played in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty revered for quite a while and pretty fascinating. There'd be up to 20 games every year. So the potential was you could actually have 20 people holding the cup in a year. Everything's on the line every single game. What better way could you go about it, eh?
Very cool.
The very first game, Gundagai turned up and they didn't have all of their players available, so they got a few of the people who were supporting them from the crowd to come into the team until the team bus arrived. And that's how we started. There's been a bunch of protests over results because of players coming in from different areas and stuff like that, and that meant that results would be overturned and the title handed to another team, even if they lost, and even if the team that won wrongfully had defended the title the week after. There's another game here where Murrumborough in 1923 had to call in 3 players from other regions because their tour bus had broken down. Here's one here from 1926. Junee protested over Tamora's refusal to play because it was the show day in Tamora.
Can't miss show day.
Can't miss show day. There's a game here where Cootamundra scored a try after the full-time siren, and Junee refused to hand the trophy over because it cost them the match. Cootamundra won the game 3-0.
What the hell?
Shortly after, because the protesting had become so frequent.
Yeah.
The people organising the competition decided that what they'll do is they will take the cup at the end of the season and they would place it in a vault. And so the team at the end of the year who's won it will actually have the actual trophy handed to them, even though other teams could win it during the year. The team at the end of the year would have the actual trophy handed to them. And then taken off them for the start of the next season and put in the vault.
That's so rugby league. You're just getting to a point where it's like teams are losing and going, no, if you haven't got the cup, you haven't got it, have you? We're not giving it to you.
In 1931, Young were the champions and they lost to Tamora 25-10 in what was called the most savage Maher Cup game ever. It actually resulted in the crowd rushing onto the field to get involved in the violence.
That's always good.
The week after that, they had a rematch and Tamora defended the title. But before the game, the local police came up to the match and gave all the players a warning before the game started.
Shit. Oh, shit.
What else we got here? There was a protest over a referee. I've been meaning to look into that one because that sounds pretty interesting. In 1936, there's some very heavy rain and they decided to play a few games. One of them was actually played on a ground that was completely inundated by water.
Oh, really?
And obviously, no one scored any points. It was 0-0.
Man, that would have been some rough footy, under those rules, with water on the field like that. That wouldn't have been fun.
No. A game in 1937 between Cowra and West Wyalong had to be delayed because there's a set of 3 brothers, the Templeman brothers, who were playing for West Wyalong. They were involved in a car accident on the way to the game. So they just waited for them to turn up, however they were going to get there.
Oh, jeez.
They turned up and played. Cowra refused to hand over the cup in 1938. There's another game here where Fred and Baden Broad both played for West Wyalong, and the reason why that was interesting is Fred was Baden's father.
Oh, wow. Father and son playing in the same team. That's cool.
Yeah. There's a game here which was abandoned just after half-time due to all of the violence.
Oh, man, that's crazy. Can you imagine being the referee at that game, right? And you're probably at that point consulting with the police, I'm guessing, or someone like that. And it's so violent, and you know that if you call it off, there's going to be now they're both angry at you. You know what I mean? So imagine how violent it has to be to call it off.
Exactly. So we're getting into that's actually right about the start of when this, the aura over this competition started to really pick up. In 1940, there was a protest over the referee being incompetent and they wanted to have a replay. But they were told that the result would stand.
Was that by Graham Annesley?
Probably was. In 1940, So this is another interesting part of it. You were drawn to play your games. I think it might have been a random at some stage, but there was an allegation here in 1940 that Gundagai were looking to sell their place in the draw.
Oh wow!
To make some money. These are things I've only just sort of come across. So I've got to look into these a bit further. But some of these have got some absolutely brilliant stories behind them, which is going to make for a great read. In 1945, Cowra had to get 9 players from local army camps because the war effort took too many of their players away from them.
Oh, that's interesting.
Here's a game here in 1947 where junior captain coach Joe Jorgensen, who actually was a Test player, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
Just disappeared.
What do you mean he disappeared?
He went missing.
Fuck.
I've had something better to do.
That's strange. Where's Jorgo? Fucking don't know.
He's just gone for a stroll. He'll be back soon. He's off to the pub. In 1948, Vandals flooded the ground the night before West Wyland went to play Cowra.
Oh, that's rough. I wonder why they did that. I wonder if there was a player that was injured and he just needed another week, so they said, let's flood the ground, put it back. Something like that, you know?
There could have been. A game in 1950 at Barmedman had the ground described as being a mixture of glue and a skating rink.
Wow. That's one of the things that you don't hear too much about over really the last 40 years or so, is that the state of the ground having an actual effect on the game.
Yeah.
Like, I know we've had a game in the snow in Canberra and stuff like that, but you've still been able to play footy, you know, all right, even when it's poured down up in Newcastle and they've had to postpone the match for a bit during the downpour. Like, that, it's still not too bad, but the thing of, like, the ground being frozen or the ground being just clay, horrible to play in and stuff like that, you don't hear about that too much.
No, that's right. I think that, modern grounds these days have got all that great drainage stuff on them, whereas these things were just bloody much played on someone's paddock.
On a paddock, yeah, yeah.
In 1951, a game between Gundagai and Cowra saw around 400 people from the crowd invade the field, and the violence was so bad the referee had to be escorted out of town.
Fucking hell.
1952, the competition was marred by a lot of bad weather. So one game between Gundagai and Grenfell, the weather was so bad that the radio commentary had to be done from inside the commentator's own car. The following week, at the same venue, Gundagai playing against Young. Heavy rain during the game got so bad and so intense, the field was inundated and some spectators had to be rescued.
What the hell?
So the rain continued. So 2 weeks after that,
we're
still playing. Gundagai's still holding the title, so they're still playing their games at home.
Yeah.
But the game had to be moved away from their home ground due to the continuing flooding of the ground. It was played on a place called Lindley's Lawn, and I think it was legitimately someone's paddock.
Really?
Yes. And near the end of that year, wild violence between players immediately after full time. Apparently went on for about 10 minutes after the game had ended, and all the referees had left. Just left them fighting.
They just left. They're like, fuck it. Game's over. I've done my job. I'm leaving.
Coonamundra's captain Rolly McDonald played on after fracturing his leg.
Oh, my God.
This is still 1952.
Yeah.
It's a crazy one. This is one where we'd like to have the bunker for.
Okay.
The referee disallowed a try to Tamora because, and this is his ruling, the ball was not forced due to the player being unconscious.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you're lying on top of a ball and you're unconscious, you have put downward pressure on it, even if you don't know you have.
That's right.
But you got to go by the referee.
Got to go by the referee. The following year, again, we're a Gundagai. there was a house fire in Gundagai during the game, and it had to be fought by the local nuns because all of the firefighters were at the game and unaware of what was going on.
Imagine your house is on fire and nuns turn up. You'd be like, this is either a really good sign or a really bad sign. And what happens if your house burns down and the nuns say we did everything we did? It's like, you really? You couldn't have talked to someone upstairs about this?
Yeah, no one could have helped.
Yeah, like you couldn't have asked for some divine intervention. You really did everything.
Yeah. Maybe you should get another profession, and firefighting wouldn't be one of them.
It's like the fucking flying nun on the top of the fucking... That's great.
Oh, it's country rugby league for you, mate. 1954. Yeah. Near the end of the game between Cootamundra and Young, the referee was knocked out by a spectator.
Oh, God.
After the game, match officials got involved in a fight.
Man, that's crazy. Imagine match officials back then too, old players and stuff. I bet they could scrap.
Oh, yeah, they would. In 1955, Barn Medman beat Junee 72-3. It's the highest score, I think, in the whole competition. Yeah. Junee played most of the game with just 11 men.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. West Tigers of Ragey, they lost by worse than that with 13.
With 13?
Well, 17 even.
Yeah, but that, Junee was a modern rugby league team.
1955 still. The actual cup was stolen shortly after the game between Young and Tumut, and it was found later under a culvert. The newly found cup was then headed to Moore afterwards. You just dust it off. Here you go.
It's like the Rugby League World Cup trophy. That was found in a ditch.
It was doing it before the Rugby League World Cup got onto it. Rugby League World Cup's just copying what the country are already doing.
It makes you wonder, like, is that a good thing or a bad thing about rugby league? Because I can see the thing of, like, you want to hold the trophy in reverence, but at the same time, it's just a fucking trophy.
1963, another referee attacked by a spectator, which almost caused a riot. Wow. There was a game at Tumut in 1965 that was played in the snow, and that was in August.
Oh, really? Wow. I guess that Canberra game was the first modern day game, the first grade game played in snow. Then, yeah. Yeah,
well, there would have been a bunch from Group 13 and Group 9 because they played, up around Batlow and stuff like that, which is up near the mountains. So they would have played games in the snow there.
Yeah.
Fairly sure. But that was most of it. Eventually got down to the point where the crowd started to get pretty low.
Yeah.
So they started reducing the number of games every year to try and keep interest in it, but it wasn't working. Travel became a bit too much for some of the teams as well, so they restricted it to just teams in Group 9, which is just in the Riverina.
Yeah.
But it only lasted another 2 seasons after that, and then they just stopped it altogether. Tumut won the last ever one, 43-4 against Young. So they're the eternal holders of the Maher Cup.
Holders. It sounds like a little bit like it was a tournament of its time, I guess.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
So there's 3 of these cups in Australia which are really prominent outside of the capital cities. The other 2 are in Queensland. One's the Foley Shield, and the other one is the Bulimba Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Maher Cup's the prominent one in New South Wales. Wanted to get in there, so that's in there. So I've started doing the Bulimba Cup. That's going to take a bit more time, and then the Foley Shield will come after that, which was basically North Queensland, I think.
Okay.
But these country leagues were fucking intense, as you get the impression of through that.
Yeah.
And tough. And everyone wanted to test themselves on that because they saw that as being the biggest physical test of your ability. It wasn't ability on skill, it's on toughness. And that's what drew a lot of players to it.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like there used to be a thing in mainly when it was the New South Wales Rugby League where a player could come from the country and they would be like a professional quality player. Whereas now, if you get someone that's come from the country, they've been like basically a kid that's come into an NRL team's first grade setup. Like Isaiah Yeo, he's from Bathurst, I think, or some fucking place like that. I'm from the city. Everywhere is fucking just Bathurst or some place like that. And I'm not a snob, but you
Not a
know,
snob.
as soon as you hit the mountains, who gives a fuck?
I bet you wouldn't say that to Nigel Plum.
Where's he from? Oh, who gives a fuck?
Ladysmith.
Where's he from?
Ladysmith.
I've never even heard of it.
It's out near Wagga.
Okay. So yeah, it's just different, you know, when a team used to get a player from the country, and that's why City versus Country was interesting.
Yeah. Well, that was the great contrast of styles. You saw the class and the skill of the City versus the brutality and the violence of the Country.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then when it turned into, well, these are all players that basically they all live in cities, you know.
Yeah.
They used to live in the country when they were kids, and then when they started saying, well, Gosford's country and Newcastle's country, it's like, let's fucking scrap this shit.
When they started saying Newcastle and, you know, Wollongong country, I'm like, yeah, country with ocean views.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about it once where it was like country should be something like, maybe we didn't do this on the podcast, where it was like country had to be 100 kilometres in from the coast at the very least.
Yeah, something like that, and have a population under 100,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure we come up with something like that. I don't know if we recorded it though.
Because what they were doing was they were just trying to make the country team competitive.
Yeah.
Country wasn't trying to be competitive half that time. They just wanted to test themselves against the City boys and probably just bash a few of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that was always the thing with City versus Country. Country just wanted to show how tough they were.
Well, when it had its mini revival, when it was like Mark Carroll and Paul Harrigan beating the snot out of each other, and people like in the years following that would be like, oh, I remember watching it when they beat each other up. So it's like, no, you remember a little part of a series that had long since had lost its fucking relevance at that point.
It had, yeah. Like, the only game that was worth watching back in those days was not the main game, but the City first versus Country first, because that was actually when they picked players actually living and playing in the Country Rugby League.
Yeah, yeah.
They played against the reserve grade City team.
Yeah, like
that was a good game.
If you had a country team picked from all the groups and you played it against a team that was picked out of the Ron Massey Cup, for instance, that'd be good. That'd be good to watch.
Bloody oath. It would be very good to watch. It'd be very entertaining.
But like when you started seeing like Matt Orford from Gosford being picked in the countryside, it was like, who the fuck are they? This is so dumb.
Yeah, they're going down the path where if it was going to go any further, soon enough you'd find that Penrith and Campbelltown were going to be called Country.
Oh, no, I bet there was somebody that said to Campbelltown, are we sure that's the city? Like even Paul Harrigan. I mean, Paul Harrigan was playing in the country team. He was from Newcastle and was a fucking millionaire at that point. Like, he's not a country boy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he'd never seen a real life sheep in his life.
You have to have. What are some of the things you had to do? You had to fix the fence, but a fence that you couldn't see the end of. Okay.
Yeah.
You had to have ridden a tractor. You had to have been elbow deep inside of an animal.
Yes.
Which, listeners, one of us has been, and I don't
know. And not elbow deep either. Shoulder deep. You got to go all the way in there to get that fucking thing out.
Fuck, that was a good night.
That's what she said.
Oh, shit. Shit. What other country stuff? Oh, shit. You have to have eaten something that was grown on your property.
Yeah, eat a pet.
Eat a pet. You have to have put down an animal you loved.
Yeah. Yeah. That's normal. Killed a snake.
Killed a snake, yeah. Seen a snake and not needed to kill it because you didn't care at that point.
Well, it was more the fact of, there was some that you let go.
Yeah.
I don't know, that sounds foreign to a lot of city people, but you don't kill the black snakes because they kill the brown snake's eggs.
Yes.
Black snake's not going to kill you. Brown one will. So, take the lesser of the two evils. The black snake's there to help you.
Yeah. You might lose a limb to it.
Don't kill it, you fucking idiots. Look after it. Besides, the black snake will run away from the Browns. Are fucking, they're psychos.
Aggressive, yeah. I saw a video that was posted on social media. I think I saw it yesterday, where it said it was a young American girl picked up a baby brown snake, thinking it was some other snake, and she was basically putting it somewhere else in her garden. People freaking out about it. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's fucking scary.
Yeah. Isn't it weird we live in a country where we've got like animals where, like, you've got the red-bellied black snake, right? I remember we had one of those seen in our school when I was in school, and so we couldn't go out at lunchtime because of it. And it's just weird. You have these things just everywhere.
And we had one day in my primary school a massive fucking goanna. This thing was about, I don't know, 3 meters long.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, we just watched it go across the soccer ground that we had there and just climb up this fucking tree. And we're like, okay.
That's crazy.
Can we play soccer now? The thing was fucking massive. Never saw it again. Someone probably shot it and ate it, I guess. But, you know, I didn't see any of the kids from school eating any lizard for lunch, so it might have been someone else.
I bet goanna tastes like shit, hey?
Oh, it'd be a bit gamey, I reckon.
Yeah, chewy as fuck.
Yeah. But that was pretty crazy. That was the craziest thing I saw.
Yeah, that's insane. 3 feet, you reckon?
Meters,
holy shit.
It was fucking long. It was a massive fucking thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. When it climbed up the tree, it looked like a tree climbing up a tree. I was little. It might have only been 2 meters because I was a kid. But it was fucking huge.
Yeah, the closest we got to that was when someone would find a blue-tongued lizard. That was always exciting.
Oh, yes.
That was in Tregear Public School, where I went to. Every so often there'd be a blue-tongued lizard. That was about as good as I got. I never saw the snake, hey?
Never saw a snake?
No, I didn't see the snake that was in the school.
Oh, right.
Do you know, because I've had, like, Poms ask me about all snakes and stuff, and I've been like, yeah, you don't have to worry about it, really. And then I remember I was with an English friend, and we were going through Queensland together, and we were driving. We'd gone to some there was a waterfall near the Gold Coast, and I said, let's drive to this waterfall. So we drive there, and we were stuffed. We'd been at the crocodile hunters fucking zoo all day, and it was on the way back for where we were staying. So I said, let's drive to this place. Anyway, we get there, the fucking thing's closed because someone had jumped off of it. And so we're stuffed. We're driving back, and I fucking saw I was driving, I saw a snake, and I ran over it. I couldn't not run over it. And I didn't say anything because I knew that she'd freak out, and I didn't want to freak her out. But the whole drive, I was thinking, please don't be the one that flicks up into the undercarriage. just be fucking back on the road somewhere, and I'll never see you again.
Just be dead. That's what you want it to be.
I really did. I really. I told her, like, I can't remember when I think I told her 2 days later or something, because I didn't want to freak her out.
I had one come into the house I was living in Queensland.
Did you? What type?
Baby brown.
Oh, Jesus. What did you do?
I got my 3-iron out and I fucking nailed it.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, and then I went, well, if there's a baby brown here, where's Mama Brown?
Yeah.
So we left that place about 2 days later.
Yeah, no wonder. Yeah, I'd be out of there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do with I think, you know what I would do? I would get a shovel and try and cut it at the back of its head and know that its head can still bite you and kill you, you know?
Yeah, my old man killed one with an axe once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went, handle's a bit short for my liking.
Well, that's why I think a shovel is not too bad.
Yeah, shovel's all right. The first snake I killed was a black snake, and that was with a whippersnapper.
Oh, really? Did it do the job pretty quick?
Yeah, it popped its head up, and I went, what was that? And it popped its head up again, and it had a steel blade on it, and I just went, ka-ching!
Ah, steel bladed. I was thinking of the
I
ones.
was cleaning up all the grass around the local hall because, you know, you got to do volunteer work when you're living in the country because no one else will fucking do it. So I was clearing all the grass out of there, and you have to use the one with this steel blade on it because the grass is like 3 foot high and it's a 1 acre block. It's just the easiest way to do it. Going around, he just stuck his head up and ping. Fucking great noise.
I bet it was. I bet it was so satisfying too.
Ching, and I went, where's the rest of them?
You know what would have worried me is you do that, and then the whole rest of the day I'd be thinking, did part of its fang snip off and hit me in the leg or something? And I don't know, and I'm really about to die.
The first thing I do is because all you're doing after that is you're constantly like you're sweeping in an arc when you're cutting the grass, but you keep looking around behind you, going, nothing fucking behind me is there.
Yeah, true.
Right, you sneaky cunts.
Oh man,
they slide out anywhere, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should go back to talking about sport. What else is going on?
I think that's pretty much it. Hey, it's mainly the Origin news come out. I don't think anything new has come out today or recently. I haven't been watching Twitter too much because of the limits. I just can't be bothered with it all that much. But I think we've covered everything. Hey? Toby Sexton is now a Bulldog.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and that's a good move for the Bulldogs. I think he played pretty well for the Gold Coast. I thought it was short-sighted to drop him when they did. So I think he's a good pickup for them.
Absolutely he is.
Makes you wonder, where's Cole Flanagan going?
Well, I'm going to go out on an edge here. Yeah. I reckon he's going to go to the Dragons.
Yeah, so do I.
Don't know why. You know, sure, there's a place that's opened itself up there, and, you know, his dad's coaching there. But that's all just got to be coincidence.
I'm sure it is. It is. Do you reckon that if they could do a deal tomorrow to get Cole Flanagan to the Dragons, do you reckon Ben Hunt gets his immediate release?
Yes.
Yeah, so do I.
I wouldn't be surprised if the new coach decides to sit down with his new halfback and says, right, look, we really need a halfback. We've just lost our good one, our best one. Mm-hmm. Would you come here if we gave you, say, $2.5 million a year on the proviso that you gave about 25% of that to your father?
Yeah.
Yes, Dad, I'll sign. Thanks, son.
Oh, man. The Dragons also are told, what's that center's name? He thinks he's awesome. He's
Lomax.
Lomax. He's the North Aluma of the Dragons. They told him that he can seek other clubs if he wanted to, which I think is a good move by the Dragons. I don't rate him at all.
I wonder where he would go. Because I reckon if he goes to a team with a good coach, they will turn him into something quite useful.
I have been telling everyone he feels so West Tiger to me.
He does.
He feels hard West Tiger.
Yeah.
Like
West Tiger. Awesome. I think the Tigers have actually just lost one of their hard centres to Manly as well.
And I feel like they'd be like, look, let's pay overs for him. He's a goal kicker too, leaving out the fact he can't kick from the sideline.
Well, you know, that's not a problem if you're not scoring tries.
You just score tries in front, man.
No, it's not a problem if we're not scoring tries. So you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, there is.
His success rate with the West Tigers is going to be at 100% because they're not going to score tries. You see,
he wouldn't have missed one last week, would he?
He's the best goal kicker in the competition. See, up there for thinking, down there for dancing.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else has done some signings here? There was some news here. The Broncos have extended Martin Tapau for a further year. Should be there till 2024.
Yeah, why not? As long as he's on a small deal.
Yeah. Sebastian Chris has been locked in at the Raiders until the end of 2027.
They love to lock in a team that's done nothing down there.
Yep. Sexton, as you said, is going to the Dogs till the end of 2024. So I guess that's finishing off his current deal.
Yeah, probably.
So that means the Titans will be paying for that one.
They'd be paying part of it. That'll be new to Phil Gould, someone else paying part of the player's contract.
He'll find a way to give money to someone else.
He'll end up paying for Cole Flanagan to play at the bloody Dragons.
Yes. Tommy Talau, he's also going to Manly from the Tigers.
Another one.
Yeah, and Jackson Paulo is going from the Roosters to Manly as well.
Okay.
So Manly's picking up quite a few outside backs there, 3/4.
How many of them make you go anything more than,
All right, well, let's have a look here. They've got Ben Trebojevic. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and move him to fullback.
Yes, 100%.
Christian Tuipulotu, he's a bit hot and cold at times.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Saab, he was really good for a few years, and he's been quiet this year. I think he's missing Tom Trebojevic being at his insanely high level of awesomeness. He's not getting the opportunities outside him.
I think that he's one of those players where if you take in his game in short spurts, you can look at it and be like, wow. But when you watch enough of it, you can go, okay.
But yeah, that's basically the most of what they've got there. I want to have a look now at what the West Tigers have got, because I've not looked at this.
Yeah.
So looking at the squads they've got for the rest of this year and going into next year as well.
Yeah.
So the Tigers are going off contract this year for the West Tigers is Alex Seyfarth, Apis Salami Salkaru. I don't even know if I think he might have only played 1 or 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Wakeham, Charlie Staines, Dane Laurie, and Tukey Simpkins. They're the ones that are off contract for this year.
I mean, the weird thing about Wakeham is he's probably been their best half.
Yep.
It's crazy. And then like Staines, I can't see them re-signing Staines, unfortunately. Dane Laurie is interesting.
Well, he's now been moved to 5'8", because why not?
Why not?
I think he'd have been able to make a good fist of it if he had been training there during the off-season.
Yeah.
He'd have been fine. But just to throw him there after you've had him playing at fullback in lower grades, like if you're going to put him in lower grades with the intention of bringing him into the halves, then put him at 5'8" in the lower grades. Like get him trained up there. That was nuts. But that's pretty much it for next year. They've got Adam Dewey off contract, Alex Twal. Wow. The try scorer. Appy Coruscant.
Appy's off contract at the end of next year.
He's signed till 2024, but there's an option for either him or the club to take up for the year after. So,
I tell you what, I bet it's not an option on both sides. I bet it's on one side.
Apparently it is. It's on the NRL website. It says it's a mutual option.
Okay.
But
I
don't think you'll take it.
No, I wouldn't take unless he couldn't get. He's definitely going to be able to get a better deal than that.
Yeah,
definitely. Even if it's a really good deal he's on there now, he's going to be able to get more with an extended contract unless the Tigers come back to the table with an extended contract for him. That's why it's weird for there to be an option both ways. You know, like if the Tigers wanted to enact it, well, they just offer him a new contract.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the thing looking at here that's interesting is the Tigers are about to embark on a mass clean-out because this is all of the players, they've got signed for 2025 out of the current squad.
Okay.
Naden, Clemmer, Nofaluma, Pole, Papali'i, Buller, Bateman. That's it.
Bateman's one of them. That's hilarious.
Bateman's there till 2026. He's got the longest contract.
What the fucking fuck?
Yep.
What a terrible signing he's been.
Stefano Tikamanu has a mutual option for 2025. I reckon he'll get signed by somebody else.
Yeah, same here.
Matamua has a club option, so they'll probably sign him if he doesn't come any better. And Clemmer has a mutual option for 2026. I would be surprised if he goes to England at the end of 2025, to be honest.
Unless that deal is on there is good enough for him to enact it, and it's more than he'll get in England. That's crazy that he's one of the longest tenured, has one of the longest contracts going forward for the Tigers. That's crazy. That's so fucking crazy. And that's the core that they're going to hand over to Benji Marshall, allegedly.
Yeah, those 7
fucking
players.
Ridiculous.
That's it. Out of a 30-man squad, they've got 7 for 2025.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they've got no gains for next year yet either. They've lost 2 players and gained none so far.
Man, I think that there's going to be some back rows that are available from the Panthers. They've got too many back rows, and that there's just going to be a bunch of them are going to say, "Look, I need game time."
Do you have any spare centres, wingers, halves, 5/8 hookers, props, and second rows? Actually, probably even locks as well.
We've got some.
You've got a few of those there.
You could just take. Why don't the West Tigers just sign our New South Wales Cup team? That'd work.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And in return, we'll give you Nofaluma.
Would you? Okay, so I'm just thinking of the players that Penrith, not necessarily that are extras, but you could make it. So say Cogger, right?
Yep.
And then Talon May is coming back. Talon May is coming back for next year probably because of his knee injury. So there's going to be a spot there for one of those outside backs for the Panthers. There's one too many of them, So you could get one of them. I know Crichton's leaving. Nah, scratch that. You're fucked.
Tyrone Peachy's off contract the end of this year.
You know what, Peachy?
He'd go well at the Tigers.
Peachy to the Tigers. I can see that working. Especially if you brought him in with the idea of playing him
everywhere
as a 5/8 centre lock wing,
Hooker.
Yeah, hooker.
He's got to be able to play hooker as well.
Yeah. But don't tell him that though.
No. We'll just figure it out on game day.
Yeah. As he's running out.
Well, I wouldn't be doing it that early.
When he's on the field, they're about to kick off. The trainer runs up.
Steady on, mister. I've got a plan ahead.
What am I, fucking Brad Fittler over here?
What's going on? It's the West Tigers, man. You just do this shit on the fly.
Jack Cogger. Would you rather have Jack Cogger or, I'm talking right now, or Luke Brooks? I know I'm being cruel right now asking you this.
Yeah.
This is cruel. This is me saying to you, pick a favourite child.
Or pick a worse one.
Pick a worse.
Which one of your kids is the worst?
Here's the weird thing. I haven't got kids, right? But I bet if you said to a parent, pick your favourite child, they'd be like, I can't. Pick a worse child. Oh, it's that one, for sure.
Yeah, it's not so much I can't, but I won't when it comes to picking your favourite.
Yeah.
We've all got our favourites.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Cogger only because he does know how to organise. But I think on raw skill base, Brooks is slightly ahead.
Okay.
But
I agree.
You need more than just the base skills to be a halfback. You've got to be able to organise, and that's been Brooks's downfall the whole time.
Yeah.
And so it's because of that instead of being in the conversation with the top 6 or 7 halfbacks in the competition, where his skill set probably would put him close to that, he's down in the conversation with the bottom 3 or 4 halfbacks in the competition because he can't organise. Mm-hmm. So people like Chad Townsend, who have got a very limited skill set, are rated higher than him because they can at least do some organisation, where Brooks has just got none.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find the name of this dude. Hang on. Let me find him. Okay. So, Jake Clifford. Jake Clifford, former Knight, former North Queensland Cowboy. He's currently over playing for Hull FC. Okay.
Yeah, he's Super League tainted. I won't take him.
Okay, now here's what I'm thinking. If I'm Jake Clifford, and he said he doesn't want to stay there, he's coming back home. He definitely wants to come back to Australia. If I'm Jake Clifford,
what? He's not happy living in Hull.
I can't believe it. With all of those ocean views, sometimes.
And sometimes it's a mud plane.
With that beautiful fresh air, sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Is diesel fresh? You got the lovely refinery out there in Immingham.
East Hull smells different. You can smell when you get in East Hull.
Oh yeah. The trauma makes sure you never forget it.
Yeah. So Jake Clifford's over there. Is there a better way for him to make himself super, super wanted by NRL clubs than to sign for the Panthers and do what Sullivan did last year and what Cogger has done this year and just put himself in a top grade side for 3 or 4 weeks and just, this is me, this is what I've got, and see what happens?
That would be the best way for him to get back into an NRL contract, long-term one. Yeah. But in saying that, his style of play does not suit Penrith at all, and it wouldn't work.
You don't reckon?
No, I reckon what would happen is he'd end up costing Panthers a game somewhere, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And people would go, well, if he couldn't win at Penrith, fuck that guy. And so you've got to be... Like, that's why Cogger and O'Sullivan were good, because they're more traditional halfbacks.
Yeah.
Very good organising skills, good kicking games. Whereas Clifford's a little bit more erratic with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the kicking game's the key to it.
Yeah.
Like, behind that Panthers pack, when they're doing their job right, if you can boot the ball down the field, you're looking good already, you know?
That's right. And yeah, Clifford's just he's a bit too inconsistent to be capable of earning himself a contract out of Penrith.
Do you reckon that Penrith could coach him to do that in a quick enough time? Because remember they got Tavita Pangai Jr. from the Broncos a couple of years ago, and his stock was really low, and he'd already signed with the Bulldogs, so that's not why he got his contract at the Bulldogs. But Penrith, in that very short time, they turned him from a really erratic, making silly mistakes to just being a real meat and potatoes sort of forward who was really effective.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different because Pangai Jr. was like a devastating ball run on Tormalolo levels almost.
Yeah.
And then started trying to introduce more finesse type things to his game, which started to backfire on him because he stopped doing the thing that made him dominant. And you piled on top of that his ill discipline on the field.
Yeah.
And what Penrith did, what Cleary did, is he just said, run the ball.
Yeah.
If you've got an opportunity to, and you can see supporters around you, go for an offload, absolutely. But that's it. I just want you to run the ball. And he kept it so simple for him. It was too hard to fuck up. And that's what worked.
When I watch him for the Bulldogs, I still have this fantasy of them buying out his contract or something, or paying him to go elsewhere, and Penrith gets him on a discount, and like, this time next year, people are like, "What the fuck? This is unfair," you know? Because they turned him into something amazing, and it was by as you say, getting rid of all of the crap, just run the ball.
Some people, that's all they need. I mean, we saw it a little bit at the start of Maria Hargrave's career when he went to the Roosters. He was trying to do all this sort of fancy fucking hit and spin, bloody offload down the back or passing along through the line. You're like, just run the ball, man. That's your strength, and it's a fucking good strength. And for the last 3 or 4 years, he's been doing that running the ball hard thing so well. People looking at him going, man, it's almost the best form of his career. And you're going, well, yeah, it is, but it's because he's gone back to just doing the one thing that he is really dominant at, and that's fucking carries through the middle.
I think Kikau is a little bit of that too. When he really focused it on the second half of last year, when he played his best football, it was just run the ball. Anything that happens off the back of that, worry about that later on. But if you run the ball as hard and as fast as you can, everything else is going to work. So forget about everything else. Just run the ball hard, you know.
Yeah, the thing that helped him too is he started not just running the ball hard, he started running straight again.
Yeah.
Fuck me, you just can't stop him when he starts running straight. Because he's getting between a centre and a 5'8". I mean, good fucking luck.
Yeah, and look, it's crazy that he played all of that football and was just, he very rarely got injured. He had his injuries here and there, but it wasn't like he was out for big chunks. He's gone to the Bulldogs. He's basically not been seen this year, unfortunately. It sucks. It sucks for him.
He's got a bit of the Kieran Foran about him.
Yeah, it'll be good for Penrith when we get him a couple of years down the road. Cheap as chips.
Yeah, and then you dish him off to the Titans.
How do you reckon about Kieran Foran's form this year? Because everyone's like, oh my God, he's so amazing. And I think he's been okay.
Yeah, he's been okay. But then again, he was just okay at Manly.
I agree.
But when you've got Cherry Evans outside, you're doing most of the work as a playmaker. Being okay is all you got to do.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that they've got with Schuster, is that he's not good enough to be okay yet.
Yeah, true.
And Luke Brooks can do okay. So that's why he will work there. But I don't, that baffled me when you told me last week, that they've signed Schuster as well. Like, why?
It's super, super dumb.
That's the worst signing out of the two. Because you know what the skill set is that Brooks has got, and you know that he can perform at 5'8" with an organising half next to him. Yeah, it's a bad signing as far as how much it's going to cost. Even though he's taken a pay cut, he's still being overpaid for what he's going to produce. But he's going to be a more effective ball player than Schuster has shown so far. So why give Schuster an upgraded contract? And where's he going to play? He's not going to be a 5'8" anymore.
Yeah. That's why I wonder if DCE next year. We'll see. I'm not saying next year DCE's gone, but I think that's when it'll start. But
do you reckon DCE would go to the Dolphins?
Would he go to the Dolphins? Maybe.
They've got young Katoa there, and he looks good. But geez, imagine what he'd do with an apprenticeship under DCE.
Yeah, exactly.
You just put him at 6, so he doesn't have all the pressure being a playmaker on him at a young age. Not that he can't handle it, because he's shown that he can, but he's going to have a much better halves partner than the one he's currently got.
If I was the Broncos and I had to give someone, say, a 3-year deal, and it's going forward, and I know that the team's good, I know we're in a window, I would rather give a 3-year deal to DCE than Adam Reynolds.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's nothing against Adam Reynolds, but he does get injured when it comes to finals time. DCE just doesn't get injured.
No, that's pretty much the only difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to see DCE go to the Dolphins it might just be 2 or 3 seasons, probably 2, but 2 years there.
How old's DCE? He's, 31?
I thought he was like 33 or something. I'm always wrong at these though.
I'm weirdly good at it.
You are insanely good, almost stalkerish good.
I really am.
Oh, we're both wrong. He's 34.
Whoa. Okay. Man,
he turned 34 in February, so he'll be 35 at the start of next season. He doesn't look it.
I've seen no problems with the 3-year deal. He's not losing anything.
I'd definitely give him 2, and just an option for the 3rd.
Team option for the 3rd, maybe.
But
How many games has he played?
He's played 297, so he's about to get to his 300th. I wonder if the Jared Croker wankfest for his 300th is going to carry over for DCE, or whether they'll just give him a wide berth, given that he plays for Manly.
Do you reckon?
You know, the media does have a bit of a thing against Manly. Which is odd, given how many stories people within the Manly club have broken to the media.
Yeah, true. I wonder if the the thing with DC when he gets his 300, it's going to be weird compared to Croker because they'll be actually be able to show things that DCE has won and achieved. It's going to be really strange. Like big moments where he stood up and was counted and he did something positive.
Made a tackle.
Yeah, it's just going to be really weird.
So who's it going to be against? The Dragons in Wollongong.
Oh, man. Do you reckon that DCE is so vital to the Seagulls that they'll be able to just not play him until they play him at Manly again?
Well, the thing is, after that they play the Roosters at the SCG, then they play Penrith at Brookvale.
Oh, you don't want to do it against Penrith.
Nah, so we'll bring up his 300th at Wynn Stadium.
I found that so funny. It's like he's such a big part of the club, so we dropped him this week so he can play in Canberra next week.
Look, the other option is, right? He plays against the Cowboys,
yeah,
and the Sharks, which are the next two games,
yeah.
And then he sits out the games against the Dragons, the Roosters, the Panthers, the Warriors, the Bulldogs, and he comes back for round 27 at Brookvale against the Tigers. He can score like 34 points in his 300th game. Wouldn't that be a great way to bring it home? In front of the home crowd, they'll be throwing confetti and asbestos in the air in celebration. It'll be great.
It will be fantastic.
I reckon they'll just play against the Dragons.
Yeah, yeah.
And likely carve them up.
Let's
check out his record against the Dragons. Because, we can do that here. 5 wins and 10 losses.
5 wins, 10 losses. That's surprising, hey?
That's a lot worse than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe you should skip that one. He's lost his last 3 games against the Dragons, and he's lost 7 of his last 8 games against them. So his last win was 2019, and the win before that was 2016.
Wow. I wonder, how Manly every so often they just go on this dreadful run where they just look absolutely abysmal. I wonder if that keeps on happening around the time they play the Dragons.
Possibly, yeah. He hasn't beaten Penrith since 2018.
It's weird hearing stats like that for Penrith. I'm still not used to it.
That's fucking nuts. Is there any team he's got as an absolute bunny side? Canberra, 15 wins, 5 losses.
Yeah, but, it's only Canberra. The crazy one, here's the crazy one to do in, and I did this the other week. Put in Jerome Luai and look at his winning record against teams.
Is it crazy?
It doesn't make sense. You look at it and you're like, it's better than even what Penrith seem to be going.
81.82%. 81 wins and 17 losses.
17 losses.
He's played 99 games. He's going to be playing his 100th this weekend.
Yeah, but then if you go to his record versus opponents,
yep,
he's got a winning record against every club except the Dolphins because he hasn't played them yet.
And you know which team he's got the worst record against?
Parramatta, is it?
Tigers.
Oh, that's right. It was Tigers, and it was like 2 wins, 3 losses.
That's it, yeah.
3 wins, 2 losses, I mean.
3 wins, 2 losses.
Yeah. And then
he's never lost to the Roosters in 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
He's never lost to Manly in 6. Never lost to the Knights in 6. Never lost to the Cowboys in 4. Never lost to the Dragons in 5.
Isn't it crazy?
Mm.
This is what I was looking up the other week when I was blowing up the Rugby League Project timeline. Because it's his record in the finals winning percentage, which is like 80-something% as well. And then I was trying to find someone in the Panthers side that was better, and it was really him and Stephen Crichton were pretty similar to each other. And then everyone else was unless they'd played 1 or 2 games in the finals, then it was a bit different. And then I started looking all time, and the first player you go to, Norm Proven, how's it stack up? Better than Proven's winning record. Shorter career so far, but just the fact that it's lower than Norm Proven's record is crazy. I can't remember the name of the dude that I found that was...
I think it was Eddie Lumsden.
It was, yeah, that's it. Which like bring his record up because people won't believe it.
Right, what have we got here? Yeah, 88.2% success rate.
And what was it in the finals?
In the finals, where do we have that one?
That's on his main profile.
Yeah, there it is. 18 wins, 2 losses, so it's 90%.
It's crazy. It's so crazy.
So he turned up at St. George at precisely the right time.
Yep.
1957. They started their run in 1956.
Mm-hmm.
And he finished with them in 1966, which is the last year of their run.
And he was because I went through a bunch of players and I went through all of them. And the thing that got me was Luai was better than all of them. They'd had a decent number of games, you know?
Yeah.
And as you say, Luai's coming up to his 100th game. So I wasn't going for 20 game plays and stuff. And Lumsden was the one that I could find. There might be somebody better, I don't know, but you'd be hard pressed to find it. And especially with that many games in the finals, that was the thing for me. You had to have had enough finals games where it was like, oh yeah, this dude played a bunch of finals, you know?
Yeah, there'll be a bunch of guys that played in the early years.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have played as many finals games because finals weren't mandatory. But there'll probably be a bunch in those early years that had better win records.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can find some of them. So we'll go 1908 to 1940.
Okay.
See what that is.
Because there was, I think I put in Dally Messenger, and it was pretty quickly. When I looked at his record, I was like, oh, you can't really use him, you know, because it was a bit all over the place.
Yeah. I don't know win percentages on him. Damn. Let's have a look here. So from 1908 to 1940, Benny Waring had the most wins.
Mm.
He won 133 of 172 games.
Damn, that's good.
So that's 77%.
That's crazy. And Luai's better than that.
Yeah. Who else has got a crazy number? George Treweek, 86 wins from 119. That's still going to be lower. That's 72. Yeah. Alan Wrighton, 76 wins from 95 games. That's still lower.
Oh, yeah.
That's 80%.
It's right there. I think what was Luai's? It was like 80.23 or something.
Yeah. We've got Oscar Quinlivan, who played for South. He had 75 wins from 93 games.
What's that at? What's that win rate?
That's 80.6%.
80.6. I mean, that's I would count that one, you know? He's nearly up towards 100 games.
Then we'll look at, say, Dave Brown. He won 74.7% of games, 65 wins from 87 games. In 87 games, he scored 617 points.
I think Dave Brown was one of the ones I looked up, and because there were certain players, you put in Churchill and stuff like that. I knew it wouldn't be Churchill, though, because I knew he was in an era where he had to really do some battles, you know. But Dave Brown was one that I looked up, and I was, because I thought he would have been right there as well. But and when I say right there, you win 74% of your games, you are an out and out winner.
Oh, absolutely.
You are. Everyone thinks you're fucking unbeatable at that point, you know.
Let's see what else we've got here. These ones aren't looking too good. Yeah, Eddie Lumsden was pretty fucking insane.
He was the one where I stopped looking. Hey.
Yeah, I could get my staff to have a look. Shout out to Sean Dolan.
He earns every penny.
Yeah, any penny that I don't pay. And more. Yeah, Eddie Lumsden sticks out there. Because I'm looking at 1949 to 1970.
Yeah.
Ian Walsh had 73 wins from 94 games, which is still less than 80. There's some It's a pretty insane figure. I think even the likes of Cameron Smith and Billy Slater were just in the low 78 or so percent.
They were, I think they were 70s from memory. I think like anything above like 70 was kind of crazy. It was the outliers, because the first person I put in was Cameron Munster, Cameron Smith, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy what some of these win records are like. What's the other one? Reg Gasnier, I didn't check him out.
I think I checked him out and it wasn't as high.
83.87.
What's his finals record?
13 wins from 16 games.
Okay. Why did I not? I did him. Is that as high as? Because I posted them. You saw I was posting them.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I posted Reg Gasnier's record. I'm almost certain I did.
There's only a few seasons we've got left to put in to get the full lot done. So we've just recently finished the 1968 season. So we've got 69 to 73 left to put in.
Okay.
The last 4 or 5 seasons there. So that's almost done. We hope to get that done this year.
It's interesting when I was going through trying to think of the eras that maybe the record could be above what Luai's was. And it's like that cuts it down a lot, because you've got to have sort of enough games played in it. So like the modern day, they play more games than they did, once you get back to like the 60s and that. So that cut it down. Because to play as many games as Luai has, you would have had to have played so many more seasons because the seasons were shorter, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So in the pre-1967 days, that would have been 6 seasons.
Yeah.
To get to 100 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it cut it down so much. And so it was really like there were certain eras I knew I knew that the 80s were so like I know Parramatta was dominant, but they had to play against the Bulldogs and the Bulldogs beat them sometimes. So that ruins everyone's records there, Yeah.
The other thing too with the final system that we had in the 40s and 50s was really condensed. There was semi-finals and then the final for most of it. And then it got into like 3 weeks of finals. You have a preliminary final and semis and then the grand final, that sort of stuff. But there was still very few. And it was easier for teams to keep their core squad when they were successful. Mm-hmm. So most of the dynasties you'll find historically were in the unlimited tackle rule.
Yeah, and I guess that's another thing. It's like being in the salary cap era, it makes it insane. And like we've talked about that from the point of view of teams that have lost ridiculous amounts of games too, where it's to lose as many games as, say, the Knights have and the Bulldogs have in the past few seasons is almost impossible in the salary cap era. But similarly, to do what Luai has. And it was interesting because I had people say, oh, what's his record with Cleary? And it's like, well, Cleary has a lower winning percentage than he does, so it's probably worse, Like everything you could try and take a dig at with Luai's record, you just couldn't. It was just like fucking rock solid. I was really surprised. I was really, really surprised.
Yeah. I mean, a good example too of that, teams being able to go on a run for several seasons with success. You look at the two polar opposites through the 50s and 60s, and that's the Bulldogs and the Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulldogs beat the Dragons in 1953.
Yeah.
Did not beat them again until 1967.
Oh, Jesus.
The best they got was a 4-4 draw in 1963, but that was essentially 26 losses and 1 draw in that period.
I wonder what the longest losing streak is in the modern era.
Oh, it'd be the West Tigers against someone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or Western Suburbs?
Melbourne and Brisbane, I think, from memory.
No way.
Yeah, let me look it up. I'm sure it was.
You know what?
Theirs was a long one.
Penrith didn't beat, while they were coached by Matthew Elliott, they didn't beat the Storm ever.
Melbourne have won their last 13 straight games against the Broncos.
Wow.
The Broncos' last win against the Storm was in 2016.
2016. Okay, check out this is the sort of stuff me and Andrew do when we're not recording, huh? Check out the Panthers' record against the Storm, and it will be like basically the Elliott.
Yeah, 2006 to 2012, they lost 11 straight games.
Okay, yeah. Because during that time, it was just like that was a write-off game. Always.
Yeah.
It was like not competitive. Just forget it. Just enjoy watching the Storm.
That wasn't too bad. It wasn't like the Tigers versus Canberra from a few years ago, where you just clock up Canberra for 50 points.
Yeah, that was crazy, that one.
And then they went and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, Canberra will win by 50. And then when it was like 56-0, you were like, oh, Canberra played all right.
Yeah, the sports betting options that have Canberra like $1.05 to win by 50 and about $19 to win by 3.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, that's funny. I wonder, I feel like some of the, like, is it Sharks playing at Manly or Manly playing at Shark Park? It was one of those, it was a weird record like that.
The Sharks had a horrible record against Manly for a long time. I think they've only recently started turning the corner on that.
Yeah, I think it was only a few years ago, hey?
Let's have a look. Yeah, they've won their last 2 games at Brookvale. The Sharks have. But yeah, I think they'd won single figures there.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they've won 7 games at Brookvale since '67.
That's insane.
That's out of 42 games. And 2 of those have been the last 2 games.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I feel like there'd be a Wollongong one, and I don't know why. Like Wollongong playing against, like, I don't know, like Newcastle or someone weird where they for whatever reason it just didn't work.
I don't know. We'll have a look. I don't think there was any there. Let's have a look.
I can't imagine Newcastle's won many against the Storm, hey?
Theirs has actually not been too bad against the Storm.
Really?
Yeah, them and the Bulldogs have actually got good records against the Storm.
Yeah.
The Bulldogs for a long time, let me just check that before I go back to this. The Bulldogs for a long time were the only team that had a winning record against the Storm.
Oh, wow.
That's obviously changed in recent years.
They've
lost 7 of their last 8, which probably fucked that up. But let's have a look. 45 games. Yeah, well, there you go. 45 games. Melbourne's won 23. Bulldogs have won 22.
Wow, it's pretty even now.
So the Storm only just got past it.
Yeah. When you have a look at Penrith as a club, their overall record since they've come into the league against every team, it's basically a losing record against every team.
Yeah, I think
it's horrible.
A few teams in the like those teams that came in 95, they've probably got an okay record against.
Yeah.
But overall, it's not great.
So I think some of their better records are against teams that don't exist anymore.
They've got a 1-win, 3-loss record against the Adelaide Rams.
Yeah, see? Fucking our bunnies, the Rams.
How's that for you? They lost 22-16 and 36-16 in 97. Then in 98, Penrith won 54-12 and then lost 35-18. Let's not worry about having close games, fellas. Let's just get flogged.
Yeah, it's just floggings either way. Yeah, when you because I started looking through all these records and when I thought, I wonder how Penrith's record is, and it was just losing record in everyone, absolutely everyone.
I mean, for the best part of the first 20 years, they did fucking nothing.
They were putrid. It's pretty amazing that they stuck with them. Hey.
Yeah, they know what the West Tigers are going through.
Yeah. You know what? This sounds fucked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as putrid as the Panthers were for those 20-odd years, the West Tigers are like 9 years away from that.
Yeah, because Penrith started out shit, stayed shit for a while, and then slowly improved, whereas the Tigers have been mediocre Sorry, they started out average, then got mediocre, and they've been slowly getting worse. So they're getting further away from where they need to be.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so they need more teams to come into the comp so they can keep digging lower.
I just think it would be funny if, like, Jerome Luai lost his first 5 games against the Dolphins. And it's just like this real fucking weird marker out there with the Dolphins. He can't beat the Dolphins.
Just this weird outlier.
Yeah, I like outlier stats like that.
That'd be crazy. Or he just starts losing games against the Tigers and no one else.
The fucking Tigers one is crazy just in the fact that they're that close.
Every team has got a bunny. And it's weird that happens.
Yeah. Imagine, isn't it? I guess it's just luck that the Tigers don't make the finals, because maybe they would have never let this Panthers back-to-back premiership thing happen. They would have beaten them in the finals.
It's who knows? That's crazy. I mean, you look at this record here, and Penrith have been since 2019, right? The first game in 2019 when they won that atrocious fucking game 9-8. Remember that thing?
No, I don't.
Oh, don't you remember? I think it went to Golden Point. It was an absolute fucking just dog shit game of football. No one was good.
And yeah, because I remember the joking being like, "Thank God, it's over." I remember that.
Well, that game, that was Penrith's 5th straight win against the Tigers, and since then they've played 7 games, and Penrith have not been able to win more than 2 in a row.
That's pretty
crazy. The Tigers beat them in the second game in 2019, 30-4. Penrith won both games in 2020. The Tigers won the first game of 2021. Penrith won the second game there and the first game in 2022, and then the Tigers won this year. The
Tigers' record is what Parramatta fans think their record is against Penrith. It really is. That was the other one I looked up was because I saw somebody saying, "Oh, Parramatta's got a good record against Penrith," and I was thinking to myself, "Do they?" So I looked it up, and like it's a losing record. It's like in the last 10, they've won 4 of them against Penrith.
Here we go. Since 2010, right, the second game of 2010.
Yeah.
The Tigers and Penrith have won 11 games each.
Wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy.
That's just. It seems wrong to be saying that, given how both sides are performing right now.
Yeah. Like if you're writing a history of the game book right now, like you could just skip the West Tigers. There'd be a lot of talk about this Penrith team no one could beat, but then you look at that record and it's like, apart from the West Tigers.
Yeah, hiccup. What the fuck is that about?
I know there's been a couple of games where it's been around Origin, but that doesn't account for all of it. I'm not but there's a couple there that are Origin affected.
You sure? I don't think any Tigers players have been in Origin.
Oh shit!
Here we go. Well, I guess that's pretty much it for this episode. There's not much more going on.
No. It's been a good episode. It's been fun.
It has indeed. So we've covered a bit of everything there. You've got a little bit of history in there, some fucking psycho shit, murdering animals. Why not?
Good laughs. Firefighting nuns.
You're not going to get that anywhere else.
What does goanna taste like? How would you kill a snake?
How deep can you get inside a cow?
Well, you told me. I thought it was up to the elbow and it's up to the shoulder.
Up to the shoulder. You got to get all in there. We're not here to fuck spiders, buddy. Alrighty, well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you check us out on the socials on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. There's probably others. Someone else is probably organising that. Check us all out. Like us, share us around everywhere. Have a chat with us on Twitter while you still can. And we'll try and check that out where we can. And we'll catch you all next time.